What's up, ladies and gentlemen of the internet? How are you guys doing? Did you guys know that today was World Swim Day? Yeah, I didn't know either, but I guess it's a thing. And it's the perfect day for us to look at a new open water tracking feature from the Form Swim Goggles. And if you're not familiar with Form Swim Goggles, these are those goggles that have the heads-up display system. Super cool, looks super futuristic. And the heads-up display is built into the goggles, so you can see stuff like your time of actual swim, your heart rate, the distance that you've swam while you're actually swimming or even racing. So we're gonna go over all the details of that. And we'll go over everything that you kind of need to know, as well as talk about why I think that this new open water feature is a game changer for this company. Okay, quick disclaimer, Form Swim Goggles did send me this pair of goggles for the review, but they're not sponsoring this video. No money is changing hands, and the good people over at Form Swimming, they don't get to see any of this footage or review this video before you guys get to see it here on YouTube. And whenever a company sends me something to review, I do try my best to pass it along to one of you guys in the form of a giveaway. So stay tuned till the end of this video and we'll go over how you can win these goggles for yourself. Now, I did make an unboxing video and kind of a little bit more of an in-depth video of these goggles last spring. And I'll leave that link up here in the corner somewhere. But in this video, I wanna focus kind of strictly on the new open water features that Form announced with these goggles about 2 months ago. And the big difference is that you'll get the ability to see your current time, your distance, even your speed and heart rate live while you're actually out there open water swimming. So think about that for a second. This is the first time that you've actually been able to see metrics like this while you're open water swimming or even racing. Okay, I do want to take a little bit of time and just talk about how you connect from your watch to these goggles. In my case, it's a Garmin watch, but you can choose an Apple Watch as well. And I would suggest that you set aside just a little bit of time to make this kind of process happen. Don't just kind of go out to the lake with the goggles and expect it all to come together perfectly. So to start with, you're gonna want to connect your goggles to your smartphone and just update the firmware. If you've had these goggles for a little while, you may be on an older firmware version and you're gonna need to get the latest, greatest so that you can actually connect it and have these open water features. So the next step would be, just making sure that you have Garmin Connect IQ installed on your smartphone. For Apple Watches, that's probably just the App Store, but that's not something that I've tested. So I'll be talking about how you connect to a Garmin watch here. And you'll need to give permission for Form Swim to access your Garmin account and basically just connect these two accounts together. You'll also need to install the Form Swim data field on your Garmin Connect IQ account. From there, you're just gonna wanna sync that to your watch, and then you'll have the option to add that particular data screen to your open water swim settings. So go to your open water swim activity, go to the data screens, add a new screen, custom data, pick a layout, use that Connect IQ fields, and choose Form Open Water Swim Data Field. So once that's installed on your actual watch, I suggest just kind of holding the goggles up to your eyes and selecting the open water swim type, and then select Track on Watch. At that point, it's gonna search for your watch, and it'll tell you either to wear it on your left if you kind of have the heads-up display system set for your left eye, or the right if that's where you have your heads-up display system. You can switch those, and it's actually really easy to do. You can even do it on device in the settings screen. But you're gonna wanna match that to whichever arm you're wearing your watch. And the reason for that is because speed, distance, and heart rate data, all of that is sent through the air using Bluetooth. So those radio waves don't really work well in the water. So the two devices are really only communicating when your arm comes up out of the air and your head hopefully is tilting sideways, either catching a breath or just normal stroke stuff. And so, yeah, it can probably penetrate, shallow water, but ideally, these would both come out of the water at the same time, and the brains of the unit here would be able to easily communicate with the watch. But the Form open water data screen that's actually on your watch will show you that connection status. And really, I would say just operate your watch as you normally would, start your swim. If you're taking splits or something like that, just operate your watch as you normally would. But keep in mind that this watch will lose connection. You can see that connection, either on your watch and you'll get a little bit of a display in the goggles themselves, but it's not a big deal. Just remember that all of the data, all of the information is just working properly on your watch. And all of that stuff is syncing over to the goggles where it's really just kind of displaying that stuff. So eventually they're gonna sync back up and it'll show the correct distance. And so I know some of this stuff isn't super intuitive. I've seen a lot of questions come my way recently, asking about, different devices and what things work with this. But one of the things that people have asked is, do you need that OH1 Plus heart rate monitor? And what I noticed is that you don't actually need the Polar OH1 Plus heart rate monitor. It probably is more accurate because, it is taking that heart rate monitor from your temple as opposed to your wrist with a watch that's moving around all the time. And yes, it is my favorite heart rate monitor, but the answer is still no. You don't need that particular heart rate monitor. You can get heart rate data coming from the optical wrist heart rate monitor that's on your watch. In fact, that's the only way that I've actually tested this while open water swimming. Now, another question that will be common for this is, are these legal in your particular race? And the answer is, well, depends on your race. If it's a strict swimming event, USA Swimming sanctioned race or something like that, I don't think that these are gonna be legal. But in most open water swimming events, most triathlon events, there's no rule restricting the use of these type of goggles. I would say if you are unsure, it's always a good idea to just confirm things like this with your own particular race director. Now, I get a ton of questions asking about why XYZ heart rate monitor doesn't work while they're swimming. And typically the answer for that is because, well, radio waves don't work as well underwater. I mean, physics, right? It's just hard to communicate through the water, through the water, up to the pool deck, to your smartphone where you're hoping to get that heart rate information, or even just to your watch through the water. Now, this works because most of the communication is actually happening outside of the water, and it only takes a brief second, really, to sync up and have that data come across to the goggles. Another question that I know I'm gonna be asked is, do you need to carry your smartphone with you? No, you don't need to carry your smartphone with you. All you need is the goggles and one of the compatible watches. And that would be things like an Apple Watch or one of the higher end Garmin watches. I tested this with both the Garmin 945 that I have on here, as well as the Garmin 745. But I do know that the Phoenix series watches work as well. And I'll leave a link to the full list of compatible watches below in the description of this video, just so that you guys can kind of check that out and make sure whatever watch you have will work with these particular goggles. Okay, let's jump into what I love about these goggles, as well as what I think could be done better. And obviously, I love seeing these metrics while open water swimming. And I think it's because, while you're open water swimming, there's just literally nothing to look at. When you're in the pool, there's always the next flip turn that you want to time correctly. There's always people that you're trying to navigate around. But in the open water swimming, there's really nothing except for maybe like sighting buoys or maybe you're trying to, get on someone's feet to draft or something like that. But for the most part, it's just really a black, murky lake that you're looking down at. And this is truly the first time that we've been able to see metrics like this. I mean, you could tweak your form, I guess, and try to sneak a glance at your watch while you're racing. It's probably not a good idea. It's never good to swim like this. But I really think that this is the first time where you're really able to use information like this. Think about it, like we've been using heart rate and speed and all of these different metrics to help us pace ourselves to better races, you know, both with races that we do running as well as cycling events. But this is the first time that we can actually do something like that in the open water. And I talked in depth about these goggles really kind of bugging me when I push off the wall, or even when I'm doing like dives off the blocks or something like that. But in the open water, that stuff doesn't really matter as much. So there's not a lot of things that I really dislike about these goggles. I will say that the fit is really not my favorite. You know, in a super ideal world, they'd let everyone pick exactly the goggles that they love, and then they'd kind of retrofit the heads-up display onto those. But I do know that that's not something that's really possible with this particular product at this time. And honestly, when I swam with these in the pool, I thought it was cool, I thought it was neat. But really, when you get into this open water swim scenario, that's where I think that these goggles really shine. That's where I think that these goggles are really truly a game changer. Okay, so how can you win this particular pair of goggles? I'm actually gonna have you guys do two things. First is just real quick, drop below in the comment section of this video and tell me why you swim. And what I want you to do from there is just actually copy that particular answer that you have and head on over to Form Swim Goggle's Instagram account and look for this post. And I just want you to paste your same response right over there. You know, give those guys some love. And when you do that, you'll be entered to win these particular goggles. Now I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys about 2 weeks, you know, just whether or not it takes you a while to find the videos or whatever. But after that, I'll go ahead and I'll pick a random comment and I'll mail these goggles your way. Typically, I just get your address through some sort of private Instagram message or something like that. And if you haven't subscribed, I don't know what you're doing. You guys have got to get on it. I typically post content like this about once per week. And if you do want to watch more of these types of videos, I'll leave one of these particular cards up here that just gives you my initial review of the Form Swim Goggles in case you want to learn more about this, you know, crazy innovative product. But as always, I really do appreciate you guys taking the time to watch any of these videos, and we will see you guys on the next one.